I'd like to call to order the Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, September 9th, 2025 at 5:26 p.m. held and transmitted electronically by the council chambers located at 39 South Shore Road, Lake Cowichan, BC. I'd like to acknowledge that we're gathered here tonight on the unceded territory of the Subatsit First Nation. Are there any introduction of late items tonight? Yes.
Yes,
Thomas.
there's just one item for impacting property at 53 Somanos Street. And this is to do with some work that is being done or planned to be done on the banks of the Cowichan River, with various permits being in place from the province. And there is only there is an emergency exemption that is being granted under section 6.2.5.1C of the official community plan for a development permit.
And would you like that under correspondence or new business F? Just correspondence?
I will put it under correspondence, yeah.
Correspondence, okay, so that will be correspondence B. With that, is there a motion to approve the agenda? Councillor Vilmarca, seconded by Councillor Austin. All those in favour? Motion is passed. I'll rotate my head a bit tonight. We have public input. If anyone would like to speak about anything on the agenda tonight, please come forward. That's a change.
Would appear we've lost most of the members of the public.
Where is everybody?
I thought this one would have been more interesting than the previous one, Mr. Chair, but there's a lot of work that's being considered in this agenda. And
We have minutes from the Committee of the Whole meeting held on July 8th, 2025. That is just for information, only. Any comments on that? No. We'll move on. Business arising, none. Looks like our delegation's left. Mr. Peters, he's left. I think he spoke on the previous meeting. Sorry? Yeah, that's right. Correspondence, we have the UBCM Canada Community Building Fund, the payment for 2025-2026. Would anyone like to speak on this, Mr. Thomas, or just correspondence? I'm up to correspondence. I move quick, mate.
That's just information for
Just for information, and then we've also got just for information, which was just shared before, about 39 South, no, that's not it, 53 Somanos Street. I think you've spoken on that already, just for correspondence. Perfect. We'll move on to reports, administration, quarterly report for September 1st.
if I may, Mr. Chair, I'm wondering if we do need a resolution to the effect to allow that work to happen? Or as the emerging situation, it is just being accommodated under that emergency?
Correct. It's for council's information. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
I lost my spot now. Administration, Mr. Thomas.
Normally, the application would come before council. We would have an opportunity to vote. There is a fish window of September 4th to September 15th that is critical. The circumstances is such that the stability of the bank is in question, the river bank that's adjacent to the property, and they need to get that work done this year, or they will have to wait an additional 12 months before they have another opportunity to do so, which is why we did some research to see how can we have this done. And there is an exemption under the official community plan, specifically written into the official community plan for emergency situations such as these. So staff is exercising the policy that's already in place by council, and we're not bringing it forward for council, but we thought it is important that you are aware of the decisions we have made.
Awesome. We'll stay with Mr. Thomas on the administration quarterly report for September 1st.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the rest of Council. This is the first form of the report from the entire administration. All the department heads have came together and Worked very hard to put that information together. It certainly can be refined, and it will be refined as we get more practice in the standard that's in place right now. But here you have broken down based on the different units. You have governing body, which is council, which highlights some of the meetings that have taken place. And I recognize that some may not capture all the meetings that have taken place, but we'll get better. Corporate services, again, we've done a lot of work over the last number of months, over the last quarter, that are highlighted in here, and we're happy to answer any questions council may have. On page 2 of that report, we have just a screenshot of some of the work that we have been able to accomplish, some that are in progress, that are behind schedule or late, and are not started. We need to have a better balance, and again, this is us getting up to speed in terms of our new reporting requirements from our administration. So you're going to have better data going forward as a council about what we're spending our time on. We also have the Cowichan Lake Education Center. Don't worry, everybody's going to have an opportunity to share their piece. I'm just providing an overview. We have planning and development, financial services, protective services, and public works. And at the bottom of this report, we have a list of emerging items of note that are coming forward within the next 1 to 3 months that we will be focusing on. As for the administration, corporate services, so we had a number of stuff happen over the last quarter. I joined the team. We've had several introductory meetings with myself personally with various internal and external stakeholders. I have sat in on several project management files. I've met with several developers, including the applicants of the previous meeting. The approach that we're taking is if any developer runs into an administrative challenge with the administration of the town, we want to meet with them, understand quickly what the issues are, look at the bylaws in place, form a strategy, form a solution, and move forward with it. We do not want to have the impression that we are a barrier to development in the community. And to be honest, I probably had north of 6 or 7 different meetings, if not more. We're doing them as a team. The planning team would include the contract planner, myself as the approving officer, the building inspector as well. We do have a habit of referring matters externally for consults with other professionals if required, in order so that we have the best information, provide the best advice and guidance to members of the public who wants to develop in Lake Cowichan. The feedback that I've received from many developers so far has been productive, and they value that opportunity to meet face-to-face, talk about the issues, find a solution, and move forward. And I think that's going to become the standard going forward for our administrative team. We've had a debrief with the owners of, what's that property called again? Nickelback. Lake Town Ranch, thank you. Greg. We've had a very productive debrief session about some of the lessons that we've learned and the impacts that have taken place on the community with 15,000 people coming to the area. Again, this was a session led by the town because we received a number of complaints, and we wanted to have that audience with the organizers directly and see what we could do differently next time. We've completed the LGCAP survey for the province, which is required annually, and this is going to also form part of your budget discussion next year for identifying a specific project that has a climate lens to it that we need to focus on. And coming up soon, we're working to revise our website and release a public notice webpage, which is currently under development and finalization. That's going to have a number of important information that the community would value, particularly around the health of the Cowichan Lake, Cowichan River, the lagoon project that we're working on, that we're soon going to require a substantial amount of funding to address, that I don't think the public has really appreciated the magnitude of that particular issue and the upstream effect that it has on development. Because if the lagoon problem is not solved, development may have to stop, period. The fines, the risk to the town is quite significant, and we cannot ignore that. At this point, I'd invite the manager of the CLEC, Dalton, to provide council with an overview of his section of the report.
I'm sure the council has read all the reports that we've submitted from Lakeview Park, Campground, Visitor Center, and basically I just touched upon the highlights. It's been a really busy season, and things are going as we planned, and we've still got some great bookings for the fall, and we're looking forward to planning and getting involved with the strategic planning committee meeting that we're probably going to end up doing, I think. And hopefully the council will want to hold that maybe at the education center. I just thought of that as I was looking around and thinking if it got to be something that we did over a day or a couple of days, maybe it'd be nice to invite some of our First Nations partners as well, because we've been meeting with them regularly. And I think that we've got some good partnership possibilities with the First Nation that have come up recently with a lot of our management discussions. Basically, that's it for me, but if you have any questions on the reports, I'd be happy to answer them. That's it.
No, you come here. Grab a chair.
Here, come sit here.
Grab a chair.
The mics are fixed.
Oh, sorry, okay, I misunderstood. So for planning, so just in terms of permits, many of which have come before you, I think since January, we've issued or received applications for approximately 10 development permits, development variance permits, approximately, I think we're at about 5. We've issued one subdivision PLA, preliminary layout review letter, and there's a couple of applications that we're having ongoing conversations with the developers for subdivision, and then so 2 zoning amendment applications that you're well aware of, I'm sure, and 1 temporary use permit that came forward, and we're still bringing forward to the Advisory Planning Commission at the next meeting to discuss the proposed amendments for the R3 zone, going back to the setbacks, and then also consideration to discuss further consideration around the delegation of authority specifically related to approving development permits and minor variance permits. So council will be seeing that in the next, probably late in October. I hope to bring a bylaw forward for those, and before the end of the year, there's some other work that we need to do to make sure that we're compliant with provincial regulations associated with the interim housing needs assessment. With another one outstanding thing, short-term rentals. We'll be bringing that forward as well.
Hi. Okay, so under finance, I've been working with tax sale properties. Letters were sent out to all property owners that have delinquent balances. To date, all but there was 21. There's 6 left that haven't yet paid. During this process, we also noticed that many homeowners were confused about the homeowner grant and the tax speculation and vacancy tax. So we've been mailing out letters and contacting those property owners that haven't claimed the grant where they had in the previous year. One staff member was told she was legendary today after somebody came in. So last year, we sold 1 property in tax sale. It was subsequently redeemed by the property owner within the 1-year redemption period. And tax sale this year will be held Monday, September 29th at 10 o'clock here in council chambers. a list of properties available for sale, hopefully none at that time, but will be advertised in the local paper and posted on the town's website. As the Lakeview comes to a close, which it's still operating off-season right now, we usually take this time to look at rates for next year. So the manager of CLEC and Lakeview Park and I have come through with proposed rates as shown in the, we can review that later, as shown in the memo to the finance report with the increases shown there. So if council has any input, we would love for you to share that with us.
Thank you. So Public Works and Parks. So the Public Works Office design, and it was tendered, it was all completed, and we're working on the building permit. And I learned a few things while I was in that process, that I don't get any shortcuts. I have to go through the same process as everybody else. So I have a couple of little delays. I didn't have a HVAC system report done, so I'm just working on that. So I've got to get that to the building department before I get my building permit, so just like everybody else. Bell Tower School, the painting of the Bell Tower School is complete now. There's some repairs to do on the deck and the window covers. We're going to redo that, but that'll be done in the future. I'm just getting a couple of quotes on that. Paving, if you've probably seen around town, we did paved Park Road, Savoy Road, and part of McDonald this year. And we still got a little bit of patching to do around town. And the town office parking completed, except a little bit of drainage we're still going to work on when we find some time. Flag poles, our final parts just came in a couple days ago. They'll get installed. Pine Street pump station, we painted the building, but there's a few other upgrades to do there yet. The raw water pump station on North Shore Road, we had a pump fail, our biggest pump failed there this year, and we're having a tough time getting parts for it. We still have 2 other pumps there, but they're not as big, but they're doing for now. The wastewater lagoon system's been our biggest challenge this year, where we had our permit amended in June, and so through a lot of different methods and hard work from the staff, we've managed to get through the worst part of the summer, and I think we're going to manage so we don't have to load it and truck the effluent away somewhere. And that was a big relief. Parks crews, they've been, just like always, doing a great job around town. Yeah, they've got most of the parks looking pretty good. Give them kudos. Water main upgrades, we did a section of McDonald Road this year, and we did a design on Maple Avenue. We're going to try to tender it this year, see how it goes. And we purchased a couple of new vehicles this year. One is a fully electric Ford Lightning pickup, and then a 550 Ford multi-use vehicle, which is a crane truck, snow plow, and a bin truck with a hook on it. So, yeah. And we got other projects we're still working on before the end of the year. We hope to have several other smaller ones complete. And that's about it.
Thank you. Fire Chief Doug Knott is not here today, but I'll just quickly go over his 3 points. He continues to encourage forest companies to fire smart around the community when harvesting. The regional Emergency Operations Center for the Underwood Fire was held here over the last quarter, and that has since, all the orders and stuff, to my knowledge, has since been rescinded. And for the Fire Smart, we have our lovely coordinator here, if she would like to provide her bits on that.
Hello. you guys all read the report, I'm assuming. So if you do have any questions regarding it, please ask me. But in the future, for my role, I'd love to kind of speak on what like Jazz was saying. I'm looking to maybe explore fire smarting with the critical infrastructures around our town. So that's something that I'm hoping like the town and the council, like we can collaborate a little bit more that way. I've only been a year in the position, so I'm navigating it solely pretty much, with support obviously from Chief. But yeah, no, it's going really well and I'm excited, and I think it's a really amazing program for our community, and I'm very passionate about it. So yeah, if you have any questions about it.
Ma'am McGonigal.
Through you, if I may, thank you for the work you're doing. I noted on social media within Woodland Shores, the neighborhood Fire Smart community had a shed placed within there. Can you elaborate on what is placed within that shed?
Yeah, I wasn't, I saw a comment about what was in the shed, and they asked, and I didn't feel comfortable actually saying that on social media. So when we do have a new website and stuff, I think for more secure reasons, like I don't want to tell people that they have a Honda generator. I guess I'm telling people right now. But
So there is no Honda
There is
generator
no-
in there, right? No. And it's just to accommodate protection of that neighborhood, is that correct?
correct. So we have 7 recognized Fire Smart neighborhoods in our community, Woodland Shores being one, and they will, the funding that they have received from Fire Smart BC has been able to buy that shed, and then supply mitigation tools.
It's too bad they didn't have enough money for a Honda generator.
Really doubled down on that. I guess feedback on this quarterly report was it felt hectic and we didn't know whether we should be asking questions at the same time, and then we're looking at reports further down the agenda where we had the questions. So it was rapid fire there. I don't know what was going on, but if that is the setup going forward, I guess it would be good to have a singular report, then we can ask questions. Did anyone else notice that, or everyone's fine? Maybe it's just me. I had a head knock, so who knows? Okay, but thank you for this information. It's refreshing to get this much feedback from staff. Is everyone okay with me moving on to strategic plan? Oh, sorry.
I just had a couple questions for the finance director. I noticed on our interest on investment, we have a budget of 200,000, but actuals 20,141. Are we expecting anything for the rest of the
I
year?
am a little behind in reporting the interest, so I'll get that caught up soon. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The other one was capital. So we've had a budget of 3.199 million, and to date we've spent 716,865. So will more capital be completed for the remainder of 2025, or will projects be pushed over to 2026?
I know that there are some, like the fire department usually gets spending sort of now, so there'll be some coming, and there might be some projects that do get pushed to next year as well.
Okay. One more, if I may. Grant and aid, it said we had a budget of 5,000, but at actual 2,600. So is that what?
There's 2 scholarships of $1,000 each. One we're just paying out that isn't here,
Okay.
and another one that probably will come before the end of the year.
Okay. And I just have one question to Mr. Smith regarding Lakeview washrooms, like the beach washrooms. That was under capital, a capital project for 2025. Will that one be pushed over to 2026 ahead of the season starting? Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to a strategic plan, Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Chair. So one of the items that have been requested from staff is an update on the performance of the strategic plan. We've taken liberty to identify all the priorities of the strategic plan that was adopted by Council in 2021 to 2026. And the table before you highlights the status of those projects, what's completed. Some of them are ongoing on an annual basis, what are scheduled for the future, and the intention of providing this update is to set the stage for the 2026 budget cycle, which also includes a 5-year financial plan, where council would have an opportunity, should you decide to meet, to decide what projects that are incomplete continues to completion, what has not started, whether it's still a priority and remains on the list, or if it falls off the list and is replaced by something else. So if there is any other specific question, we'll be happy to answer that.
Councillor Sandhu.
Just regarding the Centennial Park upgrade. So when was the last grant application that has been submitted?
It would be at least 5 years ago. I think it was the last time there was work done there. I believe there was one more done for lighting and stuff, but we were unsuccessful for that.
Thank you.
Mayor McGonigal.
Thank you. And I think moving forward, when we talk about perhaps a strategic plan workshop, that some of these questions can rise to the top as to whether or not they're realistic aspirations on the final 13 months of this cycle and perhaps moving forward. There are some that have rose to the surface, for instance, the sewer treatment facility, which I think should be a major focus within the strategic plan, implementing that to accommodate possibility of future growth, as we had heard earlier. Should there be any implications to not accompanying that to completion, it could have an impact on the growth of the community. So I'm hoping that we can have that successful strategic plan workshop and have a real focus on what we had brought forward and what has transpired since then, whether it's the administration to the south of us having impacts on accommodating some of these capital projects and how we can adjust them and juggle what is really doable. Thank you.
At the end of this report, there's a recommendation that staff are recommending that we convene a strategic planning workshop. The option is that council directs staff to schedule a strategic planning workshop in October 2025 with council and the senior leadership team for the purpose of reviewing the 2021 to 2026 strategic plan, assessing performance to date and confirming strategic priorities for the next 16 months to guide the 2025-2026 budget deliberations. Would anyone like to move that? Councillor Sandhu, seconded by Mayor McGonigal. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favour? The motion is passed. Review of the current plan. Do we want to move that to the workshop or leave it at that point? Okay, so if everyone's all right, we'll move on to Union of BC Municipalities preparation for the conference, which is next week, 2 weeks away? 22nd. Would you like to speak on this, Mr. Thomas? Ms. Roach? No. Yes. Will we just like to skip to the recommendation?
Sure.
Yeah. The recommendation is that the committee recommend that the staff report on the Union of BC Municipalities Conference preparations be received and filed. Are these options? This is whole one recommendation. that the committee recommend that the town of Lake Cowichan accept the invitation to join the other member municipality meetings at the 2025 UBCM conference, and that the committee recommend that the town of Lake Cowichan extends reciprocal invitations to partner municipalities who may share interest in the town's approved meeting topics. Would anyone like to move that? Councillor Vamaka, seconded by Councillor Sandhu. Would anyone like to speak on this subject? Discussion, sorry? No? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favour? That motion is passed. Next up, we have the financial report for period ending August 31st from, I know that we have spoken about this, but to Ms. Gill, would you like to speak on this again?
I've covered most of these items earlier in the meeting, but if council has any questions or concerns on the Lakeview Park rates, proposed rates for 2026, Mr. Smith and I would be.
Any questions from council? The one was that I had was the parking lot outside. I see we're well under budget. What are the expected costs still coming from that? I can't find it right now, but we did budget for 400,000. I'll find it. And we're well under that. Mildred Annex upgrade. We're at 77,000. What are we looking at for a final target on that?
Well, one of the larger items that was included in that 400 was a backup generator for the building, which we haven't even looked into yet, because until we determine what we need, we don't want to jump into anything at this point. Other than that, we got drainage work to do. We got the flagpoles to finish. We got along this side, we got to put parking barricades and some planters and stuff. So we a dollar figure in that is probably 50, 60,000 yet. And then the generator. I'm going to say the generator, we'd be looking at a couple hundred for the generator by the time it's all wired in.
Just from memory, when we were doing this build, wasn't there a grant in place that we had for the generator or something, and then something happened with that generator? Like, what was the background on that?
The building wasn't at the point to get the generator when the grant expired. It was a $30,000 grant at that time.
So I guess with the generator, we're still going to be looking somewhere close to that 400,000, or I know I'm just throwing it out there, but okay.
We'll be getting close.
Councillor Sandhu?
I believe that the grant was through UBCM for the generator. So I'm just wondering if we should start looking at grants for a generator. Maybe it could save the taxpayers some money in one sense.
We definitely should be, yeah. And hopefully that is added to the strategic plan.
No other questions? We'll move on. Next up, we have updates on future deliverables, wastewater treatment plant upgrades. Through to Mr. Thomas, is it?
Mr. Sandhu, if you want to take the lead, I'll provide background support for you.
I thought it was all done. So on the sewer treatment plant, so we are in design phase. Early this year or last year, late last year it was, the ministry decided they're going to require an environmental assessment study done, which usually takes a year and a half, but they're going to have it complete by sometime the end of December. So then we can continue on our design. We can't finish the design until we know exactly what the environmental assessment's going to come out at. Yeah, other than that, we've just been moving ahead. As I reported earlier, yeah, we're just coming along fine.
And thanks for your efforts over the summer, staff. I know it was hectic behind the scenes to make sure we didn't have a fish kill, and the way you guys dealt with it was awesome. And a lot of the community don't understand the work that went into that, so we appreciate that. Any questions on this report? Councillor Sandhu?
Could we have this discussion at the planning session in October as part of the,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Absolutely. And I do want to echo Chair Frisbee's comments on the work of staff, particularly Mr. Sandhu, his team, and Mr. Smith, who provide support on this particular project, and the project engineer on this particular file. For the benefit of the public and for council, there are two streams on this project. There is an emergency response stream that we have been focused on quite heavily over the summer, and there's a long-term planning stream to have a permanent fix for the lagoon concerns that exist. And so the long-term stream, we're waiting on the environmental assessment report to come back, which I understand is going to be sometime this fall. And that is going to be critical to the remaining planning, engineering, design requirements for that particular project at the lagoon. As for the emergency stuff, our primary focus this summer was to not find ourselves in a situation where we have fish kill occur. While to date we have avoided that reality or potential reality, we're still not out of the woods yet on that in terms of a risk level. We are continuing to have daily and weekly meetings and monitoring sessions of the health of the Cowichan River. And we're going to continue to work hard in the background to do the best we can. And again, earlier I mentioned the public notices webpage. The purpose of that, the ethos behind that particular page is to put the information out in the community about what is going on with the Cowichan River in relationship with the lagoon for the town. And that should be, by the end of the week, that should be up and ready to go.
Just wanted to add to, John was mentioning the fish kill. So a month and a half ago, federal government came in and did some testing on the lagoon and took effluent samples, particularly for what we call the LC50 testing, which is they actually put fish in it and see how many survive over 24, 48, 72, and 96 hours. And there were 0 mortalities. We just did ours 2 weeks ago. We got the results yesterday. And again, same thing, we had 0 mortality, so we've come a long ways from what we were facing last year.
Awesome, thank you for that. Up next, we have the building permit summary for July and August 2025. Is there any discussion on that? No. We have the July Fire Department incident report. We're looking for a mover of the amount of $7,964.16. That is moved by Councillor Austin. Is there a seconder? Councillor Vilmarca. Any discussion on this? I'll call the question. All those in favour? The motion is passed. We have the Fire Department incident report for August, and that is in the amount of $14,402.21. We have a mover of that. Councillor Sandhu, seconder. Councillor Vilmarca. Any discussion on this one? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favour? That motion is passed. We have heard reports, but up next we have the Cowichan Lake Education Centre, Summer of 2025 highlights. Mr. Smith, anything to add to that? It is fantastic getting written reports. That's awesome. Thanks for that. Any questions for Mr. Smith? And I'll repeat the same questions for the campground and the visitor centre. Are there any questions about the reports there? Or would you like to speak on that at all, Mr. Smith?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Councillor Austin?
I just wanted to thank Evan for his report. The visitor center, I see we had quite a few people come to visit and from different areas, and I think he did a great report. He's still there. Is he still there, or you're not finished yet?
Till the end of September.
Okay, I'll go in and say hi to him, because he did a good job. They both did. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Economic Development Calgary board updates, is that just for information?
All information, as of today, we received an additional slide deck that will be coming forward to Council on September 16th, and I also believe there will be a delegation presentation on that as well. So it's information for you now, but September 16th is the real deal.
Awesome. Sorry. Mayor McConaughey.
Thank you very much. CVRD meeting tomorrow. This topic will also be broached by the directors within the Cowichan Valley Regional District, and then brought forward to our council just for an information session. This was implemented by the board of directors to look at a service review of economic development and how we move forward, utilizing a consultant who has presented his findings in one meeting, and this was a follow-up for that.
Thank you for that. Next up, we have new business, 63 Cowichan Lake Road. So this is one that I brought forward. Obviously, I was in a pretty angry mood at the time. Basically, personally, I'm getting sick of plans being thrown at council and staff and them not eventuating, and to see the state of the property as it is now is frustrating, and I do believe that people are buying into plans that are never going to come to fruition. And that's where my frustration lies. I have said in this report that fellow council members and town staff aren't interested in this being completed. That's out of frustration because I feel like I'm the only one bringing it forward time after time. At the very least, I'd love to see the property with a fence around it. There's power tools. There's all kinds of dangers to the public that are around that place, and I know that WCB only look after workers, so it's not a worksite thing that we can ask for. It would have to be requested from the town. I really do think that it is a hazard the way it is at the moment, and simply a fence around it would protect somewhat. And then I guess finally I'd ask if there's any updates on that property at all.
There is no update that we're prepared to share with council at this point on this particular file. We've met with the property owner several times to look at a number of options over the last 2 months. We will certainly take a review of this particular concerns about the appearance and safety concerns, and have a follow-up meeting with the property owner and bylaw services later this week.
Chair, Councillor Austin.
Well, I'm willing to make a motion that we ask the owner to fence the area. Is that a proper motion to have? That we direction for? Well, I think a motion. I'm not against fencing the property at all. Is that the right wording to say? Or are we allowed to make a motion to say he has to fence the property?
Council can make a motion asking the property owner to fence the area. The approach that I'd recommend is for us to broach that topic with the property owner, see what's doable, because what we don't want to have happen is a fence be erected that is not to the satisfaction of some, and new issues develop as a result. So I'd rather work with the property owner, address the issue of the unsightliness of the property, and see what could be done that way.
So direction to staff. Because I have seen places, we went by one in Duncan the other day with the temporary like blue or orange fencing that, but anyway, direction to staff is fine.
Councillor Sandhu.
That every time I drive by there, I have the same thought 3-4 times a day, every day. So I'd like to an understanding of actually what the project is. Because my understanding when when he came before us, he was going to be redesigning that old car wash building. But now all of a sudden there's a big food truck in the back. And then there's all this stuff in the front, which I have concerns about also safety with the community. But I just want to know actually what is the project?
If I may, there are several projects, plural, at different stages in their evolution. First, with respect to the building there, the intention was to renovate the building. There was a development permit or development variance permit, issued that has since lapsed to my understanding. Or is it?
If I may, yeah, the development permit, we came before council and confirmed that it is still, because of the nature of the approval, that it's still sort of substantially being worked upon. So then from there was the conversation about the building permit itself. And so I think that is, that status, I'm not sure, the status of the building permit, I'm unclear on.
The status of the building permit has lapsed. Like it's no longer valid. And so the applicant is faced with a number of choices to reapply, but reapplying requires conformance with new code requirements, which are higher than the building permit that was issued back a couple years ago. I think they're valid for 2 years. And so that poses some significant considerations for the property owner, particularly financial in nature, and they need to decide which direction they're going with that. Some additional research are being done by the property owner with respect to code compliance, and that will be followed by an application for a building permit. On the food truck idea, they have expressed an interest in operating a food truck business from that location. There will be requirements for VHAB permits in order to operate a food truck, a facility serving food, commercial kitchen, and all of those requirements are in place. They would also be required to get a business license from the town in order to do that. And I believe that the current requirements in the business license bylaw provides for that type of business to operate, even though it may not necessarily be a widespread form of business operating in the community. And it might come as a surprise to some if we were to approve an application for that function, but it is allowed. So food truck no permit has been issued for the food truck from the town at this moment, but I know that the applicant is working on it. And for the building itself, they need to reapply for a building permit and will have to either meet the new requirements for step code or find some sort of exemption within the code in order to not have that additional requirements applied to them.
Councillor Vomaka.
So I've gone by numerous times in the morning, and I didn't know whether the equipment was just brought out in the morning or it's staying out there all night, but there are power tools and saws, so I actually agree with Councillor Frisbee that it's a nuisance or could be a harm. Can we direct, when you do have the discussion with the property owner, that the fencing needs to be installed by a qualified fencing company? Like there are companies that will come and they will install that blue fencing around a property.
I would take that offline and do some work into that one.
Okay, thank you.
In 2023, we deemed this property to be a nuisance property after we had the fire chief and building inspector come out. Does that, because all I'm hearing is building permits for the car wash area, which is the back building, but the main building, I don't know what the plans are for that. There's currently just the RV base stored in it. So although we can't, we're applying for permits for the car wash building and the food truck, isn't this an opportunity to say, you can't operate on this property as a nuisance property? Or does that not, is that just a couple words we've thrown around and not given much power behind?
I would prefer to do a little bit more research into that specific concern before I respond, but what I will say generally is if a property is deemed a nuisance, it's because it's usually unsightly, it has a lot of stuff on it that is like unregistered vehicles that needs to be towed away, that sort of stuff. If those parameters or concerns are addressed, the property will no longer be deemed a nuisance property. And so there is a balancing act that we have to navigate. People are allowed to use their property how they want with certain limitations that are imposed via bylaw. And we have to be very clear what those parameters are. I don't know the nuances off the top of my head on this file for the nuisance designation, but I will get back to council on that.
Anything else on this? I guess like last time the applicant came in, a number of people said, can you hear the desperation in his voice? But I don't believe that he has any plans to complete that property. And I feel like people are buying into plans time and time again just to extend this out so we don't crack down on it. But there's no way that this property is going to be complete anytime soon if we don't have action. And when I originally brought this up 3 years ago, they said, look, these things take time. It took us 2 years last time, and that was 3 years ago. So I hope you guys can hear the desperation in my voice that we need to get this sorted. I'll get off my soapbox again. Next up is Fern Road. This is another one from me. There is a desire to open up the end of Fern from the Fern residents. Obviously, we have an operating boat storage place at the end of Fern, and the Fern Road was always designed to be open at that end, according to some plans from 1946. And it would take some congestion away from Point Ideal and South Shore Road. I just want to get staff's feelings on this of whether this is an option. Has it ever been addressed, and is this something we can look into too? I understand that we could probably say, let's get a study done on this, but I mean, to me, it's a simple solution. Nothing?
I mean, I invite any staff member who wishes to speak on this particular one. I think this might be best placed for two places. One, for us to do some research on it from a planning development perspective, and two, for council to perhaps consider this in your strat planning workshop. There's a thought that I'm having right now, which is about safety, connectivity in terms of the road network, the implication for finances, whether the town owns the land, whether it's a private developer who owns the land, and we need to work with them to designate that as a public road. There's some background work that I think we need to do first before we can appropriately provide guidance to council on options.
Mayor McGonigal, do you have anything?
Thank you. Just a comment, if I may. During previous budget discussions, we had tried to accommodate a transportation study within that corridor of the uptown section to see how we could contribute to an ease of the flow of traffic within the busy seasons. We've heard considerable input from those residents on Point Ideal who do find that congested. We had hoped to work with the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure on not only the Fern Road possibility, but also Point Ideal and South Shore Road, at how we could accommodate traffic flows within there. I'm not sure that we would have enough room there for accommodating a roundabout, but that unfortunately did not come to fruition. So I think we need to look at that given the busy summer months and how we can accommodate safe flows within not only residential neighborhoods, but those visiting our communities. With that, let's look at how we can accommodate this in the strategic plan discussion workshop. And if we do need to implement Ministry of Transportation in those discussions, let's also look forward to doing that as well.
Councillor Austin.
Thank you. I don't know how it would take congestion away from Point Ideal. I'm not against opening it, and we have talked about it many times. But again, it is the financial aspect to it as well. But I don't know how it would take any congestion off of Point Ideal. I know turning left out of there, is it left or right, could be a challenge with people coming down the hill. But I don't know. I'm not against opening it up if it's financially feasible and people think it would help.
Councillor Vermarker.
I think when it came to the table years ago, the CAO at the time was talking about making Fern Road a right-hand turn only. You could only go into Fern Road off of South Shore Road, and you would have to exit out onto Point Ideal Road.
Councillor Sandhu.
I'd like just to have staff look at this, what Mr. Thomas was suggesting, and make the decision. I don't think this needs to be a council decision. That's my own personal opinion. Thank you.
And just furthermore, so the feedback from Fern Road residents is that we have 2 commercial properties at the end of the road. Currently, it's a boat storage place, so the issue is them coming up Fern Road and having to take a left-hand turn with the boats. So that's their main concern. That's a safety issue there. So yeah, we'll leave it up to staff and report back. October. Next up, we have the letter from the Honourable Mike Farnworth, Ministry of Transport and Transit, re the transit strike in Cowichan West. Is this just for information? No? Mayor McGonigal.
I ask that this be put forward onto today's meeting just for consideration, and I did discuss whether or not, with the announcement of Vince Reddy being appointed as the mediator for this dispute, whether or not we would still want to send this. I think it's important that we do send this not only to the Minister of Transportation, but you can see that it's carbon copied to the Minister of Labor and the Cowichan Valley Regional District Board of Directors, just showing the impacts not to the whole transit system, but to the West in particular. The rural communities are struggling immensely, as we have heard in our presentation earlier, making doctor's appointments, making medical appointments. School now in VIU are struggling, students are struggling to try to find transportation to accommodate their studies. So I would hope that we could move this forward as a letter for both ministries and carbon copied to the regional district as well.
Is that a motion?
I shall move that letter be sent.
Seconded by Councillor Sandhu. Any further discussion on that? No. All those in favour? Motion is passed. Next up, we have the reconciliation workshop on September 16th. I think staff and council have been working behind the scenes for attendance on that. Would anyone like to speak on it?
We've been invited to participate by the team in North Cowichan for September 16th. This particular event is going to run from, I believe, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. The timing has been adjusted. I know that we have a council meeting scheduled for that day at 5 p.m. The invitation is extended to all of council and by extension staff as well. We currently have 3 people confirmed to go, and I wait for further direction.
Councillor Austin.
Well, I just have a question. It says Monday, September 16th, and I did bring this up earlier. Is it Monday or is it Tuesday that the meeting is? I'm looking at it right now.
Tuesday, September 16th.
Okay, so they put the wrong day on here and they haven't cleared up. Okay.
Thank you. Good. Next up, we have the Every Child Matters September 30th event at 8570 North Shore Road. This is held by the Sepatset First Nation. 8:30 they have the welcome, the tour de rock. 8:40 is their prayer, song, dance. 8:50 is the breakfast, and 9:20 is tour de rock departs. But there is events going on all day from 10 until 8:30 till 3. Yeah. Anyone speak on that? Good. Okay, moving on. What do we have next? Sorry, Councillor.
Will this be posted on our town website?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
No notices of motion? Yes, Councillor Sandhu?
This Sunday, September 14th, the town of Lake Cowichan has partnered with Chamber of Commerce and the Cowichan Lake River Stewardship Society to do a town cleanup. It starts at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. There'll be 6 garbage station pickups throughout town, one at Saywell, one at Sabat's, one at Central Park, one at the Columbarium, across from the Cowichan, the Chamber of Commerce, one at Kate's Park, and one at Centennial Park. And then from 1 to 3, there'll be activities down at Saywell Park for any families participating or not participating.
And then for clarification, so that is an event that's focusing on keeping microplastics out of the river. So it's nothing to do with being in the river. We've got to make that clear that it is just a land cleanup so that we don't put any residents at risk. You will see divers in the river that day though. That's a separate event. Okay, now we've got question period. If anyone would like to speak on anything on the agenda item, you've got 3 minutes. Anyone off-site, we have a phone number, 250-749-3239. Any questions today? Seeing none. We are now going to move in camera. Do I have to read this out? I'll read it out. We're going in camera. Section 92 of the Community Charter requires that before a meeting or part of a meeting is closed to the public, that council must state by resolution that the meeting is to be closed, and B, the basis on which the meeting is to be closed falls under the following section of the Community Charter. S91A, personal information about an identifiable individual that holds or is being considered for a position as an officer. S91B, personal information about an identifiable individual who is being considered for a municipal award or honour. You guys talking about me in this one, or what? No? And the last one was labour relations or other employee relations.
I would move that we go in camera on those items.
So we've got to move.
Trying to help you, Chair.
Councillor Will Marcus, second it. All those in favour? Let's keep this going.
I just have one question. You spelled honor the American way. It's O-U-R.